So this week on MOE, we have the pleasure of Renad from YugoSpice. So if you could just tell me a bit more about yourself and your background.
I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, and I moved to the UK to do my undergraduate degree at King's College. And right after I did my master's degree at CAS.
If you could just tell us more about your business and how did it start?
So my business was a very random idea I had during my university degree, which I didn't really do anything about. And our first piece of coursework at CAS was to come up with a new business idea. And I said it to my course mates, to my group, and we just kind of went with it, and I never stopped going with it. We started working on this September 2017 at the beginning of my master's degree, but we didn't officially start trading until August 2019.
And would you just tell me a bit more about YugoSpice? So what do you do, your role, and kind of what YugoSpice is?
So we are a fusion sauce company. We make sauces that are all-purpose, so you can use them to marinate food while you're cooking and just as a sauce at the end. And the flavors are things like miso, chipotle, curried, sun-dried tomatoes. And the whole value proposition is centered around kind of one sauce, 50 dishes. You never have to have the same meal twice with it. It works with literally everything. I've had it with ice cream before. It's actually nice.
Do you have a background in cuisine or have like a passion for food?
When I got to university, I was 17 and I'd never, ever cooked a meal for myself. And I remember the first 2 meals I cooked for myself were on Instagram. I was just like, and the caption was something along the lines of, I didn't kill myself, so I'm gonna try again. I was an awful cook. And I guess just throughout university, I started hoarding cookbooks and learning how to cook. But the realization and kind of sauces really help you with that. And at some point, you just look at your spice drawer and you're like, why do I have a million of these? And you buy the supermarket sauces, and some of them are fine, some of them aren't fine. You use one a few times and then it just goes off in the back of the fridge because you don't want to make like a curry 15 times in a row before the jar goes off. So I don't really have formal experience. It was just kind of my learning. And the whole idea for Yugo came during a birthday dinner where we were at a fusion restaurant, and I just thought, like, this is so nice, and I feel the flavors can work on a bunch of different things. But there isn't really an upmarket sauce available that isn't a very specific cuisine, because you'll find a lot of super upmarket sauces that are great quality, but they're kind of like someone's Nigerian grandmother's recipe or someone's Italian grandmother's recipe. And you can only really use that the way they say to use it.
What is the daily activities you do as an entrepreneur, and what is it like to be an entrepreneur?
It's changed a lot kind of post-lockdown, especially because before lockdown, I was on an accelerator program. So I had an office space and I didn't have a team at the time. So my day was usually wake up at 6 a.m., go to the office, do all the work, and come back home at 11. But generally, my job officially is supply chain and new product development. But in reality, it's fix all the problems, and there are a lot of problems. So I call myself the Chief Everything Officer.
And you speak about problems. What kind of problems do you think are most challenging when doing a startup?
I think the biggest problems that I've experienced over the last few years are just conflict, because you learn about, like, the master's degree at CAS for entrepreneurship is very thorough. This is how you do market research. This is how you do the financials. Everything's great until you have some sort of conflict with someone where the payment terms maybe weren't discussed properly and you don't really have a contract because you're just like, this doesn't require a contract. Where would I even write one? Or how would I write one? I guess those are the biggest problems, and they don't happen a lot, to be fair.
Where do you see YugoSpice going in the future? Is it kind of a more of a lifestyle business, or do you want to grow and expand?
I've always wanted to grow and expand very quickly and just kind of become this huge world dominating business. But I think lockdown has given me the chance to slow down a bit. And I don't ever envision this being a lifestyle business, but it's kind of reframed my mindset that I want to grow Yugo much more sustainably than I was thinking before. I think the focus now is more around growing it organically as much as possible and then taking on investment, just because in the startup community, it's always in the back, the chatter, like, when are you raising your first round? And I got caught up with that. And I don't think it's necessary.
So what is like the one piece of advice you would give to a person who wants to start their business?
I would say focus on sales from day one, because I think I spent so much time thinking like I have to find the perfect manufacturer, I just have to create the perfect branding. I wanted to get into a supermarket right from the start, and that's just not how it happens. So I spent all my time like prospecting sales leads and talking to buyers. But in reality, I could have just gone to a few shops around my house and been like, hey, do you wanna sell this, and give them some jars? Don't do the same mistake, just start selling from day one.
Can you tell me about maybe about the people that work with you? What is important when you learn in academic entrepreneurship? They're like, you have to have a CEO, you have to get a marketing officer, you have to have a technology officer. But what does that mean in real life?
Up until this summer, I didn't have a team. So I spent 2 years running it on my own. It's perfectly doable. You won't have a life, but it's perfectly doable. I was still on the accelerator program at King's, and part of that is they gave us interns. And the intern I had, Anna, still is working with me. And me and Anna spent all summer kind of going to these webinars, paying for courses, paying for consultation with marketing. And we weren't really getting anywhere. And I was just like, I need to bite the bullet and hire someone who can do this, because you can do everything on your own to an extent. But if you need something to be better, I just hired someone for kind of the thing I'm the worst at, which is marketing. So the team is currently me, Sarah, who's our head of marketing, and she does all the technical marketing stuff with the data, and like talking to the agencies we work with.
You've done YugoSpice for a while now. Like, how would you define failure, and have you ever experienced it?
It's just a learning curve. I think there's a lot of stigma attached to it, where like, oh, I did this one thing wrong, I'm a failure. And I think that's just really not productive. So I never really think of failure as anything but a learning curve. You're always going to make mistakes. That's fine. You just need to see what you can learn from it and move on.